this is for the one who ain't never had a love, yeah. This one's for the girl who don't feel like she's enough, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This one's for the cool kid playing on the school team, crying to himself cause he never had the prom queen. Head full of wants, but they said it's just a pipe dream, yeah. This one's for the kids like me, they ain't never had one day. The ladies always turn their cheek, but they ain't let the fat ones sing. This one's for the kids like me, kept working when they had nothing. When people try to take their dreams, they stuck it to them, please don't change.
What's going on, everybody? I thought I kicked my camera. What is this? Oh, I should have set that up in a second. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Hangout stream. Alex hanging out here. David's over somewhere at work. How are we doing out there? Wherever you're watching from, YouTube, X, Facebook, Kick, Rumble. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Go follow us on the socials at the Alex Cuesta Show. Nate, how's it going? Appreciate you being here. The intro lag was I thought I was ready and then I wasn't, and I just put up the title screen to kind of let everyone know the show is starting just soon. So that is why. I'm sorry, Nate. But overall, how's everybody doing out there? It's been a few days. I intentionally didn't do the other day because I was just beat and I needed a reset, needed some sleep and energy. And then yesterday we were watching my brother-in-law's dog, and it's just one of those things where the dog is not used to sleeping here and stuff. And the last thing I wanted to do was go upstairs, and then all of a sudden the dog starts flipping out, waking everyone up. That just wouldn't have been nice. So didn't record yesterday or do a show yesterday, but I'm here. I'm back today. I appreciate you all for hanging out. So we got a busy show. We got a lot to talk about, and I'm not going to say very little time. We have as much time as we want, but I'll try not to drag on and bore you people too much. But as Nate alluded to over there, saying thank God the Bills lost, I agree with you. We're going to talk about that loss. Right now, we have the Seahawks in total command of their game against the Niners. Now, I partially feel bad. Honestly, this game is one of those games where I almost don't care who wins because I like both teams. My cousin is a big Niners fan. I was a Jerry Rice guy when I was younger. I loved Jerry Rice. And the Seahawks, now that Russell Wilson's gone, the Legion of Boom is gone. I didn't mind the Legion of Boom. Russell Wilson, a lot of the calls they got sucked. But I like Sam Darnold, being a Jets fan, obviously. Darnold has a special place in my heart with his mono and seeing ghosts, but I just like seeing him have success. So the Seahawks are in hand with this game. They're up 27-6 with the third winding down. It's going to be cool to see Darnold go to an NFC Championship game again. Just throwing darts out there, playing good football. And very surprising that the Niners were never able to get Christian McCaffrey going. It's one thing I talked about my cousin last week, saying that they need to get McCaffrey going if they want to have a chance to win this game, and they couldn't. Credit to the Seahawks defense. So it's looking like this one is going to easily be the Seahawks, barring a miracle. So they're going to move on. But let's talk about, and maybe tomorrow we'll talk a little bit about Darnold's game, because Darnold has just been spectacular all year, and it's cool to see him playing well. Nate saying Seahawks defense is the real defense to deal with. Yeah, and the Seahawks defense is good. Their offense is obviously good. So, the defense of the Seahawks is awesome. And then when you have an offense that can move and Darnold playing with supreme confidence, they're going to be a team to reckon with. But I want to jump into the game that happened earlier today. We're going to start off with some sports ball. We have this game. I just want to jump right into show. The NFL has to be happy with the playoffs so far. Right now, the Seahawks kind of blowing out the Niners isn't what they want. But man, the first game was a classic barn burner over here, where you have the Broncos at home playing against the Bills. Lots of pressure on the Bills to get it done. And you just see all of the lead changes since halftime. You had the Broncos up 20-10. They get a field goal Bills score a touchdown. Bills fight back to take the lead. They add a field goal. Broncos take the lead. End of regulation, Bills tie it, and then the Broncos get the win in the final. It was a really good game to watch. I'm incredibly happy because I absolutely hate the Bills. So I'm really happy that the Broncos were able to take them out. Shout out to my our buddy Craig Leppert. He's been on the show before. He's the guy that founded Shadow Jumpers. I talked about them, I think, last week a little bit. Go support Shadow Jumpers. But Craig's a big Denver Broncos fan, so shout out to him. But this was an absolute classic. Nate saying only team that can handle Seattle is the Rams. Possibly, but we'll see. Everyone is saying right now that the road is paved pretty well for New England. And here is why they are saying that. Because after the win, people are pumped, right? A lot of my side is excited for the Bills to go down. People in Colorado are excited for the Broncos to move on. But then we get this news from Sean Payton after the game, the press conference. First, Rappaport saying, heartbreaking, Broncos quarterback Bo Nix's playoffs are over. He has a fractured ankle, and he's getting surgery to repair it. And now we find out Jared Stidham is going to be the starter. This right here is an absolute gut punch. Because I think with Bo Nix, you have to put the Broncos as the favorite over either the Patriots or the Texans, whoever moves on. But for all intents and purposes, if the Patriots do win, number one, it's a revenge bowl because Jared Stidham was a Patriot and the Seahawks just had another touchdown. Walker just ran it down their throat. This is a blowout right now. But Stidham was a player, if I remember correctly, for the Patriots. So I'll be interesting seeing him go back and play against them. But I think just the Patriots would overall be the better team. And it's sad that Bo Nix had to go out this way. He played an awesome game, looked good, had some shaky moments, but ended up showing a lot of poise. And apparently he broke it on the second and last play in overtime. So that's just tough. But this was not a game without controversy, though. Because what this game will be remembered for is something that people are calling a missed call. But it is the absolute correct call. Where the individual at play for the game here. Oh, my computer's taking a second to load. Come on, computer. Let's see. If this doesn't load, this is screwing me. We're going to try and go to that tab anyway. See if it loads. Let me get rid of this one. Boom. All right. This, let's see if we can get it from here. Trying to show you guys the play. Here we go. So hold on. Let me pause this. Pause this. Make it big. Technology, y'all. So this is the controversial play right here. Now, I'm going to set it up. The Bills have the ball. And Josh Allen is going to make a deep throw. And it looks like his receiver is about to make the catch, and it is ripped out and ruled an interception. So we'll watch a play in real time here.
Pick it up, and they go deep down the field.
Well, underthrown, boom.
Is caught. No, it's...
And the defender has the ball there. Okay, so that's one view. And now I'm seeing all over the internet complaining that was a catch. It should have been ruled down, blah, blah, blah. And the funny thing is we're getting all of these slow motion, still frame views. All of this, I'm going to call it nonsense and noise. Because the bottom line is, I have seen this play a million times. And every single time, this ends up being an interception or an incomplete. This was never going to be ruled a catch. So let's make this bigger here. We have 17 seconds in slow-mo. So watch as they go up.
They blocked it up perfectly.
Boom.
McMillan does a good
Ball's
job.
on, hands on ball. Still, defender still has hands on ball. That's easily an interception.
So we're going to need you on this one, Gene.
Yeah, this is really close. I'm not sure that Cooks has possession.
Hands still on the ball.
Coming to the ground there to say that it would be simultaneous. It feels
they blocked
I do not know what the controversy is here. This is just retardation here. I'm not going to lie.
It up
There is no
perfectly.
contact.
McMillan does a good job
White
not
glove,
getting...
boom. The defender's hands were always on the ball.
We're going to need you on this one.
Tony Romo's got to shut up. Cooks just didn't control it. Like, look here. The white... People need to remember. Right here. You see, his hand is still there on the ball, guys. The ball's down here. There is a hand there from the Broncos player. Because he has it. Look, it's tucked under, guys. Everyone's taking a look at that, and they're not seeing that the Broncos player has his hand right here. The first one, this wide one's here on the outside, but he has his other one tucked under the ball. The only way he rips this so cleanly is because his arm is underneath the football and he tears it out of his hands. Guys, anyone that's claiming that this was a catch and ruled down, you're not accounting for the fact that the defender had his arm underneath the ball the whole time. This is clearly not even a question, an interception. Not even a question, an interception. This isn't close, guys. The fact that people are making this the play that everything is hinging on, this isn't close. He has it. His arm is tucked under. His arm is still tucked. He has it. Cooks let the ball go, guys. He never truly possessed it. The Denver Broncos player's arm is intertwined underneath the whole time and rips it away. I don't understand why this is a controversy. People are taking still frames and they're trying to make it look like Cooks only was a one with possession. The defender had his arm underneath that ball the whole time. Cooks never had possession. So this drives me crazy. Why am I in there as AOL Dave? What is going on here? Why did they put me in as David? I am not David. I'm Alex. Let me correct this. Jesus Christmas. What are we doing, Restream? What are we doing? What are we doing, Restream? There we go. That's correct. But anyway, this is 100% the correct call. And it's the fact that it's controversial just goes to show people want to see what they want to see. I'm going to go to Ledger Doozable. Former Jet, someone I like seeing online. He's very clear. Like right here, guys, I don't know what's the controversy here? What's the controversy? His left arm is clearly tucked underneath the football. Matt Schick saying, I no longer understand football. This isn't a situation where somebody has the ball and then they're down and someone's going to rip it. This is a situation where both players are going after it. So what Ledger says here, you see when two players are simultaneous possession of the ball and they both go to the ground, the person who secures at the end gets the catch. Neither had clear possession originally. And that is the clearest way to explain it. There is no question, there is no doubt that this ball was legally ripped away. And that's just the bottom line. Anybody that says otherwise is just being dishonest or is mad that the Bills lost. That's it. That's honestly it. Because you can't watch the replays, you can't do any of this without seeing that it was clearly taken. And also, you maybe just don't know ball. And we're seeing a lot of that, right? We're seeing a lot of people who just don't know football, and the internet gives everyone the ability to speak. And for good or for bad, they give everyone the ability to speak. And the bottom line is we're seeing that people just don't know ball. That's it. People don't know ball. They don't understand the rules. They just want to see what they want to see. And I think we're seeing a lot of that. Nate G saying defensive backs have equal right to the ball by rule. 100%. 100%. When that ball's in the air, it's 50-50. It's not just the receiver's ball. It is 50-50. And in that play, the defender got himself in good enough position to make a play on the football, and they were both making a play on the ball at the same time. So let's hear from Josh Allen here. Honestly, I think a lot of what's going on is corny right now, but there's a lot of grown men crying. So let's see what's going on.
Let my teammates down tonight.
Your emotions normally aren't this emotional for us. Is what has brought this on? It's just...
And honestly here, like, listen, I get it. Guys cry, right? Guys cry. It's normal. They cry, but man, you got to hold yourself together. I understand Josh Allen's frustration. He hasn't been able to get it done, and we'll talk a little bit about Josh. But I don't know. For me, you got to hold it together, man. You got to hold it together. Let's see what he has to say.
Just missed opportunities throughout the game. It's been a long season. I hate how it ended, and it's going to stick with me for a long time.
And you know it should. It should stick with him. Nate G saying anyone who played defense at any level knows this. Agreed. It should stick with him because the bottom line is we need to talk about how Josh Allen just can't get it done. I don't want to hear him cry anymore. But how Josh Allen just can't get it done because this little tidbit is actually crazy. I don't know what his record is in the playoffs, but 0-7 in overtime games. You're supposed to be one of the faces of the NFL. He has never won an overtime game. For someone who's had a pretty prolific career like Josh Allen, I mean, man, 0-7. That ain't good. That ain't good. Nate G saying, I'm giving Josh Allen every break to cry. He's played his bag off every playoff and has been failed by his surroundings. See, I'm not giving him this pass. That's the narrative going around, Nate. The narrative is that Josh Allen has no help. Josh Allen plays so hard. Josh Allen, Josh Allen, Josh Allen. James Cook is a 1,000-yard back. Stephon Diggs is an all-pro receiver. Shakur has come on strong. That defense has played pretty well. I mean, listen, there comes a point where when you have failed as many times as Josh Allen has, it does come down to you as well. It's not all you, but you know what, though? He throws plenty of interceptions. He throws a lot of them. He has that Brett Favre effect where you're going to win and die by his interceptions. He has a lot of, if he throws it, when it comes playoff times, these players are much better. These teams are much better. They're going to get those picks now. They're not just going to let you, drop the ball and things like that. That's not going to happen. So Josh has to own up to some of his issues. And he said it. He said he let his team down. And I think we need to stop giving him a pass. We need to stop giving Josh Allen this pass that he has no help. You don't win as many games in the regular season every year when you have no help, okay? He can't get it done in the playoffs. It's very similar in a very different way to Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning's a significantly better quarterback. But in terms of not being able to get it done when playoffs, I mean, it's crazy. He said Josh Allen gets it done. He can't kick the ball. He can't play defense. He lost 2 AFC championship games by a missed field goal. Who misses 2 AFC championship kicks? He has 0 turnovers and 427 snaps. This was his first game of playoff turnovers. And name his wide receivers. He has Shakur. He has Coleman. He has Diggs. He has the tight end, I think is one of the guy that came from Dallas. He has Cook. He got plenty of help, guys. Keon Coleman's a big guy. Should be better. He played at Florida State. Shakur is a pretty damn good slot guy that came on strong. Stephon Diggs is a fantastic wide receiver when he's on the field. Listen, you can't. People blame Tony Romo for everything, right? Tony Romo got blamed a ton. You could say the same thing for Romo, that his surroundings failed him often. But at some point, you got to blame the guy. Josh Allen is a great regular season quarterback at this point. He plays well enough, but he can't get his team over the hump. Period. I get it. 2 missed AFC championship kicks. I get it. But at the same time, get him over there. Get him over there. Get him over that hump. Diggs is gone. Coleman was a healthy scratch during the season. That's fine, but Coleman's here now. Shakur's been playing well. It's tiring to see all around the league someone like him that just gets a pass all the time. And also, it's true. Diggs is in New England. You are correct. Diggs is in New England. I'm wrong about that. But also, he gets a pass all the time. And also, Josh Allen's also one of those dudes that sprints around for 30 seconds behind the line, and his offensive line miraculously never holds. And I'm sorry, you get all this stuff. We can make all the excuses. I'm not saying Josh Allen's a bad quarterback, but we have to evaluate exactly if he's able to get over the hump and win a championship. Now, as a Jets fan, I'd be happy to have him on my team, right? Because he's a winning guy. He plays good ball. But man, you can't keep on giving him excuses. At some point, You're going to look at Josh Allen and go, he's a great quarterback that could never get it done. He's going to be on the Lamar level right now of great quarterbacks that can't get it done. Because you know what? Patty Mahomes didn't have many guys for years. And I get it. The officials were 100% on Patty Mahomes' side. But he got it done. He won championships after Hill was gone. After Hunt was gone. He ended up still winning championships with Travis Kelce and then creating and making receivers around him better, right? Tom Brady did a whole lot of that. Tom Brady had, outside of having Moss for that extended period of time, Wes Welker, when he came to him from Miami, wasn't the prolific guy that he became in New England. Julian Edelman was hatched. So I really feel like they just took Wes Welker's DNA and just hatched Julian Edelman. But Edelman was a guy that filled in. But before that, you really couldn't name many of Brady's wide receivers. He had Tim Brown, not the Tim Brown from Oakland, but the Tim Brown that they had there. They had Deion Branch. They had guys. Okay, they didn't have great players, but Brady made that team better. They had great defense. Don't get me wrong. Brady's defense that he had around them was monstrous, but Brady elevated everyone and won Super Bowls. Patty Mahomes elevates and wins Super Bowls. You have these players that are able to do that. Josh Allen has yet to do that with his team. And you just have to look at that at some point, and you can't just sit there and always make excuses for the guy. You can't. We love to. For whatever reason, Josh Allen loves the excuses love to get made for him. But you just can't keep making excuses for him. And that's just the bottom line. Everyone can't fail you 100% of the time. That's just it. But overall, they'll lick their wounds. And the Bills will be back. They'll be a good team again next year. As long as Josh Allen is there, they will be a threat in the regular season. We'll see what happens with the Patriots and Drake May. Miami's in disarray. The Jets are the Jets. So it's a two-man race over in the AFC East. And they're both going to win a lot of games because they each have 4 gimme games with the Jets and Miami, right? So they each have 4 padded wins basically in there for their schedules. But we'll see what goes on. And as the years go on and as Josh Allen continues to knock it over the hump, he's going to be one of those guys that everyone just makes excuses for some reason. And I will continue to ring the bell that he's good, not great. He's going to end up having great numbers for his career. He's going to have a lot of wins. But until you break through and elevate your team to that Super Bowl, you're never going to be a elite level quarterback. And that's just it. And I don't make the rules. I just play by them. But like I said, we'll be monitoring things right now. Like I said, Seattle has it in hand, 34-6. They're threatening in the red zone again. So it looks like they're going to go and, they're destroying this game. Sam Darnold hasn't had to do much, but they are handling this game. But we're going to move on to some entertainment news because right here, and this is some cleanup stuff because, like I said, I haven't been on in a few days. Some of this stuff happened a little while ago, but I'm just going to fill in and do some cleanup here. Covered Geekly, which I never heard of before I found these 2 posts. I don't even know what the hell Covered Geekly is, but I found 2 posts by it that were useful. So, yeah. But also, I did notice G&G, geeksandgamers.com is doing much more with their news. So I'm going to start definitely looking at G&G more often for some stuff because they do a really good job with their news. Bringing you a little more entertainment articles and things like that. So we're definitely going to be looking at G&G for some more stuff. So Covered Geekly, Zoe Saldana is now, and I don't know if it's Saldana. It was always Saldana until now. It's Saldana. Is now the highest grossing actor ever, surpassing ScarJo. Now, here's the thing. Zoe Saldana is a very good actress. I have no problem with her acting. She did make that absolutely fucking terrible trans movie that I think everyone forgot about already last year that I think they put up for Oscars and shit. Everyone forgot that this movie was something that won shit, right? And Jesus Christmas, Seattle just scored again. Walker is having the game of his career right now. Kenneth Walker scores again. I don't know how many touchdowns. That's 3 touchdowns for him, maybe 4. They're up 40-6. They're going to be up 41-6. Jesus Christmas. Statement came by Seattle. But this to me is just more of an example of what the Hollywood bloat does. Now, don't get me wrong. Zoe Saldana is a good actress. I'm not going to say great, very good. I like her. I liked her in Guardians of the Galaxy. I liked her in Star Trek, even though the Star Treks had their problems. She wasn't one of it. Her acting wasn't one of them. She's been a good actress in basically everything she's been in. But does she deserve the title of highest grossing actor ever with all of the greats that have been there? Would you put Zoe Saldana up with like Robert De Niro or some of the great female actresses like I would say, God, Nicole Kidman and Charlize Theron and all these type of amazing female actresses, right? I wouldn't. I wouldn't put Zoe Saldana up with them. But this to me, like I said, it just shows what Hollywood bloat is and the example of it and how it works where she, because of just how much everything costs now, she's demanding that much money. And she's getting it. And good for her. Get your bag, do your thing. The T-Mobile commercial with her and whatchamacallit? God, I can't think. Jeff Bridges is just unbearable at times while I'm listening to things. But like I said, I'm not going to disparage her for getting her money. Go for it. But I feel like we're going to see a lot of these like shifts now of who's the highest grossing, blah, 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 blah. It's going to start happening more and more and more and more. Not only from people making movies, and also you got to remember, like, isn't she an Avatar? Avatar, it makes sense. But you're going to start seeing this shift more and more and more as the bloat continues to go higher and higher and higher in Hollywood until Hollywood eventually just goes, and then whoever's at top will be at top there for a little while. But that's starting news. Like I said, covered Geekaway. I've never heard of them. And here we are with two different posts. Right here, Sebastian Stan has been cast as Two-Face in The Batman 2. Now, I'm going to be quite honest. I am a terrible nerd. I didn't see the Batman 1. I didn't see the first Batman, but I like Sebastian Stan. And this is just another example of DC and Marvel trading people. You know, good on Sebastian Stan for getting the fuck out of the MCU. I guess he'll come back as Winter Soldier for Secret Wars or whatever they're going to do, Secret Invasion, Secret Wars. But just getting out of MCU as it's, attempting its reboot with Doomsday, but I don't know if it's going to go well. And going over to whatever is happening with the Batman over there. The Batman seems, I need to watch the first one. I've heard okay things about the first one. I've heard it was sometimes good. People liked it, people didn't, but that's with movies nowadays. Robert Pattinson, I hear, is a good actor there, and he's been decent in everything. The Twilight movies suck, but outside of that, I have no issue with Robert Pattinson. He's Cedric Diggory, so that's fantastic in Harry Potter. But Sebastian Stan going over, I think he could be a pretty good Two-Face. I think he can. He's a good actor. I like Sebastian Stan a lot. And I think he could be a pretty good Two-Face. The last time I remember seeing Two-Face on screen like that was Tommy Lee. And Tommy Lee was a solid Two-Face. I thought he did a good job with it. Obviously, Harvey Dent obviously was in Dark Knight. I lied. Dark Knight, and he was fantastic too. It's a really good rendition of Two-Face over there in Dark Knight. So we'll see what Sebastian Stan, if he does it justice. I think he'll do a good job. He's a good actor. I'm curious how they're going to implement him. I thought Christopher Nolan did a really good job with Harvey Dent and Two-Face. I thought he portrayed him very well. But if they're going to go a little more comic style, now obviously the first Batman was, dark and gritty as well in that other sense with like a kind of a amateurish Batman from what I took of it. Again, I have to watch it. I have to stop being a bad comic book fan, even though some of the comic book movies are awful. But I have to watch it. And again, I like Sebastian Stan. Nate saying he'll be very good. Yeah, I think he'll be very good. I'm just hope that he's dealt a good card, right? Because even though he was a great Winter Soldier, the Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show fucking sucked. And it was nothing to do with him. His acting was good. His action was good. Very good Winter Soldier. But if he's dealt, he's going to be good in his role. But we'll see how the movie is overall. I think that's kind of where I am with that. So we'll see. Maybe I'll eventually go and watch the Batman. Who knows? Who the hell knows? But let's move on to some interesting stuff here. I saw this the other day. This article is from a little while ago, 10 days ago. But it's about Lego revealing a smart brick. Technology-backed toy piece dubbed in the next exciting chapter for the company's future, launching inside new Star Wars sets. So let's see what the hell Lego's talking about, because I was interested in this. So they say Lego has announced the Smart Brick, a chip-powered piece due to be integrated into upcoming sets that it describes as the next exciting chapter of the 90-year-old toy company. That is crazy, though, to think the Legos are 90 years old. That is awesome. We have Legoland up by us here, and it's awesome. The girls love it. It's meant to be for like 12 and under, which is rare that you find parks like super directed at that. But I always enjoy going there. We have season passes there. My kids friggin' love it. But let's keep rolling. The Smart Brick contains a raft of sensors to track light, sound, and movement, as well as a miniature speaker and onboard synthesizer. Lego has said its advancement houses more than 20 patented world firsts and can be wirelessly charged. Alongside the Smart Brick, Lego is also planning to roll out smart figurines with similar functionality inside, all part of a new technology platform it has simply dubbed Smart Play. Fans will get a first chance to try it out in the near future too, via a fresh range of Smart Play powered Lego Star Wars sets. I can only imagine how friggin' expensive this is going to be, because we're not covering it today, but they just let out Lego their prices for their Pokemon sets. And mind you, when they're branded with something, which Lego smartly is like branded with basically everything, right? Whenever you're buying something that has a brand attached to it, it's always going to be more expensive. But I think they have their Eevee for $60, Pikachu for like 90 or 100, and then a set of Venusaur, Blastoise, and Charizard for almost 700 bucks. It is crazy. And now if you start adding the Smart Bricks in it, you're going to be getting close to like $1,000 if they were to be added into the Pokemon ones. Because I can't imagine these Smart Bricks are going to be cheap. Let's keep reading. There's a little bit more. Here's a quote. For over 90 years, the LEGO Group has sparked imagination and creativity in children around the globe, said Julia Golden, Chief Product and Marketing Officer of the LEGO Group. As the world evolves, so do we. Innovating to meet the play needs of each new generation, LEGO Smart Play is the next exciting chapter in our LEGO system of play, and something we are super excited about being able to bring to the world at this scale. So how does it all work? For anyone familiar with LEGO's previous interactive Super Mario toy range, Smart Play looks to be an evolution of this, with the Smart Brick able to detect specific interactions with other interactive elements of Smart Tags. The initial wave of LEGO Star Wars Smart Play will include a 584-piece Luke's Red 5 X-Wing for $100, the 473-piece Darth Vader's TIE Fighter for $70, and the larger 962-piece Throne Room Duel and A-Wing set for $160. And by the way, everyone, the penny's gone. Can we stop doing the 99? Just do the straight number. It's 100, it's 70, and it's 160. The 99 is dead. When the penny was included, they did it for that reason. The penny's gone now. They're not producing it. Stop factoring it in. These feature of interactive elements powered by Smart Bricks, Smart Figures, and Smart Tags, letting you see engines light up, hear laser guns fire, and lightsabers hum. The throne room set will even let you hear the Imperial March when Emperor Palpatine sits on his throne. Each set will be available to pre-order from January 9th and launch on March 1st. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. This is pretty cool. Now, I know it's nothing crazy, but the fact that you can like fly your thing close and all of a sudden you hear it, choo, 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 like as a kid, that's dope. If I'm a kid and I get a Smart Brick and I get to play and I'm a Star Wars fan and I build the thing and Palpatine sits down and you hear burr, 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 that to me would be dope. I would love every moment of that. So I understand where this is coming from. From a collector standpoint, it's just going to be really cool to have that available. So I think this is a cool innovation. It's something that I enjoy that Lego's bringing, and for the prices down there, that wasn't terrible. I know Legos are expensive, but you understand going into this that Legos are expensive, so it's not bad. Not bad stuff. Okay, now we're jumping into the politics segment, which is going to take the brunt of it. Some stuff is going on. in Minneapolis, because Minneapolis is obviously the hotbed for freaking everything right now. So I have this from Mario Nawfal, and I will preface what I'm about to talk about here. Mario Nawfal says anti-Islam protest organizer Jake Lang dragged into crowd. Now, as you watch this, you're going to see him get beaten up. You're going to see a lot of things go on. I didn't remember Jake Lang, but now I've been reminded about him. The dude was at J6. And listen, we've talked to J6 people on this show. Most of them were just fine. He was one of the dudes in riot gear and a bat. I've never heard Jake Lang speak, but he put himself in a situation here as an anti-Islam protest over there. And I get it. We have freedom of speech. We want to defend that. But I don't know much about Jake Lang. The little bit I've seen doesn't seem like he's the greatest dude. But let's see. Let's watch this scene because it is chaotic here about what's happening to him. Now, this is Jake Lang up against the wall in the bottom, like in the left side here. Peaceful people, right? There's people trying to usher him out. And there's chaos as the crowd follows him. And he's getting hit. Now, the thing is, too, with this, he was on a ledge. He put himself into a corner. It's never smart to put yourself into a corner when you're at these things. I don't know if he was pushed into it, but he put himself into a corner. The crowd's massive. You go in there knowing leftists are violent. What are you doing? Now he's being moved away. You can kind of see the crowd shuffling with him. I don't know if we get a different view here. But you see like arms being swayed there. He's being hit consistently. But what do you expect in a crowd of leftists? Like this kind of like says to me that you know what's going to happen. Unless you decided and you knew you had a large crowd coming with you, none of this was smart, okay? None of this was smart. So going to another tab, the Patriot Oasis, a spot I never heard of. But they're talking about total anarchy. Where's the local police? Being allowed from Jacob Fry, blah, blah, blah. This is more of him being moved on. And you could just see him getting beaten on. There he is right here. He's getting punched. Now, there's plenty of people. Now, there's obviously paid security here. But there's a lot of people around him doing pretty good work getting him out of there. Not going to lie. He's getting hit. He's getting beaten up. There's a lot of security that are doing their job. Or just good Samaritans. I don't know either or, but probably paid security. I don't know what that noise is. I'm going to turn off the volume because that's annoying. But we're seeing him trying to get pushed through. But it's honestly, it's like almost what? He's getting stuff thrown at him. But like, what did you expect here? Like, part of my thing is, what did he expect to happen? Unless he's going to have a massive group there and try and incite a clash, what did he expect to happen here? Did he expect to just go there with a bunch of violent leftists and be able to just do whatever the hell he wanted? Like, people have freedom of speech. I don't want this guy to get injured, but this is a dumb fucking move, man. And then we go to this next tab with Andy No. These are the extremists coming out there. And, this part I think is fully wrong. I'm going to turn the volume off already. But they're going in there and he's in the car and they're trying to get him away and they're kicking him while he's in the car. They're trying to hit him, kicking him. Now, at this point, why isn't she driving? Like, this chick needs to just be driving. Like, at this point, like, that chick's an idiot. You go. Fuck these people standing in front. You go. He's just being kicked and beaten in there. Like, you just drive, man. Like, it speeds off there, but you just drive. I'm sorry. You don't let them start beating you like that. Get the fuck out of here. No, it's not Jacob Fry. It's Jake Lang. Jake Lang is his name. Did I say Jacob Fry? I'm sorry. Jake Lang. Jacob Fry's the Minnesota mayor. No, it's Jacob Lang. I mean, it's yes. I do not want anyone to get beaten, right? That is not a good thing. And when it's, we've seen other people go into the hotbed, but you got to be smart. You got to be smart when you go into the hotbed right there, right? You have to have a plan. And it didn't seem like he had any plan going into there. It seemed like he was just kind of winging it. He was doing his thing. And you have to expect that something like this may happen. Now, this from Julio Rosas. This is a separate person that they harassed. And this is, just an example of how freedom-loving these people are. They harassed a guy who was wearing a patriotic sweatshirt that said freedom on it. And look what they did to him. We're going to listen to him, yelling at him to take it off. Take it. Hear that one guy? Take it off and you won't get hurt. He's wearing a American sweatshirt that says freedom on it. And that guy right here, take it off and you won't get hurt. So fuck freedom and fuck America. They keep going. He's trying to take it off. Call him a Nazi just for wearing it.
Gave you a chance. There you go. I got you. You're good.
Get your ass up out of here.
Drop it. Drop it.
Yelling at this guy just for wearing that. Here's the thing, guys. I'll tell you right now. Everyone get you a burner launcher. I'm not going to lie. Get you a burner launcher. These people come at you. It's legal. Tear gas. You could spray it in there. You could. It's good from 60 feet. These people will fucking disperse, man. If Berna should be running ads with all this in the protest. They should be running an ad of somebody like this individual just wearing a freedom shirt, walking into a protest, getting accosted, whipping out their burner, and just fucking spraying them with tear gas. And now all of a sudden, all these people are scattering. That is what Berna should be making commercials about this shit. Now he keeps walking. They keep harassing him. They took his sweatshirt. Here's the thing. We got to take these people seriously, guys. They're banging the drum. They're filming him. Like, it's all embarrassing. But the thing is, guys, you gotta take these people seriously. Like, the bottom line is, what people don't understand is, this isn't a game for the leftists. Some of them are playing a game. Don't get me wrong. Some of them are just kind of LARPing, right? But for the true believers, for the ones that are leading this type of shit, this isn't a game. They know what they're trying to do. They are trying to ferment this violence. That is the goal. The goal isn't to protest ICE. ICE is just the next reason. Because the thing is, they protest the police, 10 years ago, whatever it was, the summer 11, 2020, whatever. They were just only protesting police. They were Nazis. They were protesting the administration. They were protesting racism. It's always a protest of some injustice. It's some reason. They just need a reason. ICE right now is just the current reason. They know what they're trying to do. They know what they're fermenting. Now, these crowds are massive in the winter, and that does not bode well for this summer, guys. I'm not even kidding. Like, this summer, if you are in a major city or near any type of cityscape, be prepared. Be prepared. Again, I'm not telling anyone what to do, but I'm saying Burn a Launcher should be running a lot of ads based off these protests. This is where their ads should come from. Because if you want to use less lethal force, shoot somebody with a gun, but still protect yourself, I'm considering getting one. Certainly am. Because you're not going to catch me in something like this. You're not going to catch me in a fray like this, or even if I'm walking in a cityish area and I'm not one of them, and these people screaming at me, yelling at me things. Get the fuck out of here. That punk right there behind him, that fat, chubby piece of crap that just thinks he's tough because he's with the crowd. Absolutely not. You would never catch me like that. I'm not going to put myself in these situations typically. I'm not one of the ones that's going to go on the ground. But you're not catching me like that. No shot. No shot. And the thing is, you don't want to bring a gun here. You don't do that. Because that's just, you're looking for the conflict in that situation. But at the same time, you got to have a means of protecting yourself. You can't just put yourself out there vulnerable, because the bottom line, people, and to anyone looking to do this, these protesters aren't playing. They will kill you. They will kill you. There's the people there that don't want to. They quite literally think they're actually there to protest ICE. But they're poking and prodding to see what they can get away with. And in Minneapolis, they can get away with whatever the fuck they want. The police don't do anything to them. Seattle, Portland, the police don't do anything in these areas. Chicago, New York, the police don't do anything. Anything at all. Nate saying, I appreciate Jacob Lang's sacrifice. He created more video evidence for their violent propensity. Agreed, but you have to also think, is this just his way to try and force Trump's hand at the Insurrection Act? Now, here's the thing. Do I think that Trump has all rights to do the Insurrection Act against all sanctuary cities already? Fuck yeah. And apparently Tim Walz has called up the National Guard. But it's a tough and a tricky thing. Nate saying, not everyone with the right point of view has this to magnify. Here's the thing, Nate. We've had plenty of violent moments to magnify from the left. We've had plenty of them. The thing is, people don't care. If you're not, we're on this. We like the internet. We're on X. We are looking for this stuff. We're politicos. We like this. Your normal person doesn't give a fuck. They don't see any of this. And if they do, all they see is that ICE shot somebody. ICE shot somebody else. ICE detained somebody's grandmother, because that's what's being reported. So then when you go to show, oh, well, this person was violent. Well, that was one person. They were violent. What were they doing? Like, it's going to be written off. And that's the thing. And this is only going to be effective amongst the politicos. And then if it triggers the Insurrection Act, now, oh, Trump's being a Nazi. The ICE people were shooting random people, and now he's doing the Insurrection Act? How bad? And now here we are as politicos, the people that understand what's going on, trying to talk to these people, and most of them don't want to hear it. Most of them don't want to hear it. Nobody cares that the protests are, violent against people, and that ICE is being harassed and hurt on a daily right now. And that these individuals are only there to stew revolution and violence and cause confusion and mass issues. Like, people don't see that, and they don't care about that. That's the big thing. So, like I said, I'm coming in here. That was current news. That was happening today. I want to talk about this. Now, I talked saying that, I'm really not going to talk much about Renee Good and the situation over there with the ICE officer until new things come out. Now, there were two new things. And by the way, it's official. Seahawks win 41-6. Just dominant showing. Dominant showing by Seattle. And if you're watching the game, if you watch the game, how can you not say that the Seattle Seahawks are the team to beat right now, or not the team to beat? It's got to be that way. And good for Sam Darnold. Good on Sam Darnold. So I'm going to stop having that up because that's over. But so I want to turn to this, because the other day at the spot where Renee Good slammed into the other car, they held some sort of, I don't know what the fuck this ritual is, but let's watch these weirdos. I don't know what's going on here. Some Native American thing going on here. Now, I don't know if Renee Good was Native American. That looks like a Mexican flag up there. I don't know if she was Native American. And you know what? It's weird. It is really weird. But if this is the way people grieve, go for it. Go for it. If you want to grieve this way, fine. And if Renee Good's Native American and we find out that this is her tribes people trying to, build her up, cool, go for it. But on the outside looking in, it's weird. It's weird to have a Mexican flag up there because let me mute this. Is that a Mexican flag? Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if Renee Good's Mexican, that there's a fucking Mexican flag up there. This is bizarre. This is bizarre. I don't know, man. I don't know. As someone who had K9 in fantasy, F the Seahawks. Hey, listen, I'm a Sam Darnold fan, so I just want to comment. This is weird, but this is another thing that happened over a few days ago. It was revealed, and this is by CBS News. They're the first one to break it. Then it was corroborated by ABC. Now, because I don't want people to get the wrong idea going, well, Barry Weiss is at CBS now, so it's going to lean right because I hate to break it to everyone. Barry Weiss ain't on the right, but this was the breaking news as of 3 days ago. Breaking. The ICE agent who fatally shot Renee Good on January 7th in Minneapolis, Jonathan Ross, suffered internal bleeding to the torso following the incident, according to 2 U.S. officials briefed on his medical condition. Guys, I don't know. How would he get a torso bleed internally? From what we knew, he wasn't hit. I thought he wasn't hit. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe it's just we're wackadoo. Maybe it happened on its own. Maybe he just randomly had a freak accident, internal bleeding moment, and had nothing to do with him fucking moonwalking around the car. Or maybe we were right this whole time. That he was hit by a vehicle and this individual was evading lawful orders and the vehicle became a weapon and he used lethal force. Maybe, just maybe. I don't know. Nate's saying they refuse to let K9 in the end zone all season 3 tonight. FU Seattle. Caveat ties. Hey, Broncos, Super Bowl bound. Caveat, did you see the bad news? Bo Nix is out for the rest of the year with a fractured ankle. You guys are going with Jarrett Stidham to the championship game. I would have been more excited about the Broncos' chances if Bo was healthy, but Bo's gone, y'all. Nate, my understanding of federal immunity is that they have 2 levels of legal protection. I mean, listen, federal immunity is a thing. We don't like immunity for law enforcement when it's bad, but when they're doing the right thing and handling themselves the proper way, then yeah, they deserve some immunity in some situations. Because we also acknowledge with police officers that they have to go undercover and that they have to do some things and it gets their hands dirty. Caveat I saying BS. No, Rollin, it's not BS. It really isn't. Bo Nix he fractured his ankle in the second to last play and he's getting surgery tonight. It was announced. It was announced in the press conference by Sean Payton that Bo Nix is done for the rest of the year and they have Jarrett Stidham that's going to start the AFC Championship game. So while celebrate and hope that Jarrett's ready to go and play either the Texans or the Patriots, whoever ends up making it. Nate's saying qualified immunity and all federal officers get extra legal protection called Blevins. Yes, they do. I'm sorry, Caveat. I talked about it earlier at the beginning, Schefter, and people had the breakdown of that. But so obviously right here, this just further proves the point of what we were saying on the right, that we were watching the video and he obviously got hit. Was it hard enough to do terrible damage? Internal bleeding sucks. And if you don't take care of internal bleeding, it could kill you depending on how bad it gets. But I mean, internal bleeding is no joke. And the people are like, oh, it was going like a few miles an hour. But here's the thing, metal, anyone that's ever worked with any sort of tool understands that metal doesn't forgive. It doesn't slow down. It doesn't soften up. It's hard. When it hits you. Whether it's 2 miles per hour or 20. That is not something like, humans, we're soft. If we see something wrong, we might slow up and yeah, we might hit you, but we have we have tissue, our bones move, things like that. Metal doesn't. So even if it gets you at 5 miles an hour hitting a human body, it doesn't matter. It hurts and it can cause those issues. Rollin, when did it happen? It happened apparently on the second to last play of OT. On the second to last play, apparently he suffered a fracture in one of his ankles. So it's very unfortunate for you guys. I thought you guys looked good. I thought he was shaky at moments, but he came in strong. And I thought Bonix played really well and answered a lot of calls in this game. And it's really unfortunate. Hoping that they can get Jared Stidham ready and that they can run a functional offense and compete against whoever they play against. But all right, so there's that. I want to get to some fun here because we're finding out. Now, here's the thing. These chatbot models usually are balls, right? They usually suck. And especially ones like ChatGPT, we have known to have given some of the most leftist answers to things. But I saw this. I don't know how true it is, but I found it funny because a lot of these things are made up bullshit. But we'll see if ChatGPT is as based as they sound. So someone asked ChatGPT what it would do if it became the president, and its answers will shock you. Not really. It won't shock us as conservatives. And so this says, if it became president, focus on structural fixtures, things that improve incentives and systems long term, not just short terms win. Here's how they approach it. They'd have term limits for Congress to reduce career politicians and regulatory capture. We agree. Single issue bills are something I've called for forever, and public transparency dashboards for federal spending every dollar, traceable in plain English. So those are basic enough, right? Number 2, economy, growth, and resilience. Simplified tax codes, fewer brackets, fewer loopholes, which is something Donald Trump did in his first term. Incentives for domestic production, not just the tariffs. Reward companies that manufacture and hire locally. Again, another Trump policy. Small business first policies, easier access to credit, fewer compliance traps, faster approvals. Something that Trump does. He slashes red tape and regulation. Hard cap on deficit growth unless formally overridden by national emergencies. And that would be something that we live on deficit growth with the stupid Fed. 3, housing and cost of living. Federal pressure on zoning reform, especially in major cities to increase housing supply. Now, zoning reform is a difficult thing, and I like the way you put it, federal pressure, because that's using the bully pulpit, right? But not making laws. Ban institutional bulk buying of single-family homes in starter markets, which is exactly what Trump did with the EO against the large investment firms. Energy independence expansion to stabilize fuel and utility costs, renewables, nuclear, and domestic drilling. Nuclear should be the only one, but you want to get it all, right? Domestic drilling, fuck renewables. They're useless until the technology is better. Windmills don't work. All they do is cause pollution and kill fucking birds. And solar panels, you can't use them up past 90 degrees. They're a subsidy, and how are we going to recycle all of them? They're made of freaking plastic. Like, renewables are dumb right now. Honestly, we're not ready for them. 4, healthcare reform, practical, not ideological. Price transparency mandates. Hospitals must show real prices up front. I have said for a while that I wish that when you walked into a doctor's office, it would be like when you walk into a mechanic. They'd have a giant billboard behind them. That would be, if you were uninsured, these would be the prices you'd pay for all of our services offered. Every single one, top to bottom. And then right by the desk, you'd have a whole bunch of brochures for all the insurances they accept. And obviously, if you're going to them and you match one of their insurances, you could then take the brochure and open it up, and all the same things that are on that billboard are now in here, and the insurance company is providing them with exactly how much you will pay or what they cover from that company, and you will know exactly what the upfront is. I've always thought that that's something that should be done. Interstate insurance competition to reduce monopolies. That is something that Obamacare did that fucked everything, was that they made it so that only in-state can do it. The interstate thing needs to happen. That should be a bill that should be done yesterday. Okay. They need to reopen interstate competition. That will lower premiums in a heartbeat. Because if you do interstate competition, now I don't have to worry about only going through New York State companies. There isn't this monopoly. I can go get insurance from fucking Indiana, and my premium will be lower, and it will force premiums down. Focus on prevention, metabolic health, nutrition, education, incentives for healthy outcomes. Seemingly what's going on with Maha. A lot of people dislike Maha, but it seems like what's going on there. 5, education overhaul, life skills curriculum, taxes, contracts, finance, nutrition. And I think we're starting to see slowly that coming into play. Trade school parity with college, equal funding and respect. I agree with that. We absolutely need to give kids more scholarships to trade schools where they get full rides, just like if you're going to a college. And it should be different proficiencies to get there, right? And student loan reform, caps tied to degree, return on investment and income, not blank checks. And also, no more government backed student loans. That should have been in there. 0 government backed student loans. Force these schools to stand on their own and not have guaranteed paychecks coming in. Make them make their prices more fair and affordable by not allowing the government. Whenever the government gets involved in that pricing shit, it's bad. And so, this is good and bad right here. Technology and future proofing, AI and automation transition programs for displaced workers. I don't care about that. Honestly, like I said, my theory on AI is right now we have jobs that we don't know exist. I get wanting to have a safety net there and a backup, but there's jobs that AI is going to sprout that we didn't know existed. And as people are losing jobs, there's going to be tenfold more. I'm convinced of that. It's the same way with every major industrial breakthrough. Data privacy as a civil right. You own your data. That's hard to institute, mainly because we've quite literally signed our data away every single time. Because in a lot of these contracts to get on social media, we agree that they can use our data for their own purposes. So we've been signing it away. It's our problem for not reading the fine print and still just wanting to FOMO and using these types of social medias in order to stay connected. The social media companies are evil, don't get me wrong. We've signed our shit away. So, break up tech monopolies when competition is clearly suppressed. Agreed, we need to do that. The monopoly law has been abused and bastardized. 7, border and immigration, order and humanity. Secure borders, fast legal pathways. Secure borders, yes. Fast legal pathways, no. No. Nope, 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 nope. Should be incredibly difficult. It should be incredibly arduous. It should be incredibly expensive to become an American citizen. And the reason being that we want people that at this point in our country's existence, there might have been a time in yesteryear where we just wanted some numbers to come in and we just wanted people to come in and create. But we need to now have skilled individuals in that are going to offer something. So I don't want fast legal pathways. I want it to be difficult. And yes, I want it to be expensive because I want to have a professional comes in that's already going to be providing something. So while they're here on their work visa and working harder, they are also being able to afford getting into citizenship and studying. If you want this, if you want to become an American citizen, I think it should quite literally be the hardest thing on the planet to become an American citizen. There should be nothing easy about it. The test should be rigorous and hard. It shouldn't be cheap. You should have to continue to show that you are continuing to provide something. It should be difficult and it should be hard. And I'm sorry, it should be very cold-hearted. You come in here because you have a skill, you can do a job. If you lose that job, I'm sorry, you got to go home. Or you get a certain amount of time when you lose that job in order to get a new one in that field. You cannot just go and work at McDonald's, okay? You can't just go get a pick-me-up. You cannot go on welfare. All that stuff is for American citizens. I'm sorry. It's for my pick-me-up. It's so that if I'm in the middle of a job, I can go get a quick job to make cash while I'm trying to get back into whatever career I want or starting a new one. That is for the citizen. For the person trying to become one, you need to stay in that career. And I'm sorry if you get laid off or fired and you can't get back into that career in X amount of time, you have to go home. We're not a handout system here. Work visa expansion tied to labor shortages, not politics. No, we're not going to subsidize our labor shortages through having individuals here just to go to work, because then we're becoming an economic zone. I don't want an economic zone. I want people that want to be here. And swift deportation for violent offenders, regardless of status. Agreed. Even if they're naturalized, denaturalized, get the fuck out. Period. Period. That should be no question. 8, culture and civil stability. Free speech protections across digital platforms. Yes. End government corporate censorship pipelines. Yes. De-escalation over division. Less culture war, more common ground. No. No. Because there's an importance in the culture war, okay? The importance is, say we stop fighting on the right. The left isn't going to stop. No one ever tells the left that they have to stop, and no one ever enforces it on the left. It's always the conservatives that have to stop. The reason why the culture war is such an issue now is because conservatives actually stepped into the ring. And in force, we stepped in. We didn't just sit there and poke our toe and then come back out because, we were getting called mean and bad names. It's because conservatives have actually jumped in and have actually started to fight for our ideals and say, no, our way of life is correct. The view for the country that we have is the best one, and we're willing to fight for it. And the way we want to fight for it is we want to have a conversation. Now, they want to kill us. They want to protest, they want to be violent, and they want to kill our leaders. They tried to kill Trump twice. They did kill Charlie Kirk. They're not going to stop. If they have another opportunity to kill another person that is important to the movement, they will. And when I say they, I mean leftists, so that we are clear. Leftists. And the drive-by media is never going to report it this way. But I'm not going to de-escalate unless they call for the truce and start showing it. But they can't, and they won't, because they live off Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals, and they are in constant revolution. So they can't de-escalate. They'll talk about it. They'll talk about lowering the heat while the next day calling for more protests. So no. The only de-escalation is victory at this point. We cannot take our foot off the pedal culturally as conservatives. We can't get complacent. We can't get a small win and then step back. We can't say woke is dead and then, okay, we're all good. We can't not pay attention to bridge. We can't let these riots continue to go on. These are things that we can't lose on. We can't lose on the trans issue. We can't allow women to be berated by men and entering into all their spaces. That's a cultural thing we cannot lose. So no, we need to keep fighting culturally. There needs to be, the common ground will come when they want to break bread, because I'm not breaking bread anymore. The conservatives have always been the ones to break bread because we've always been live and let live. And that is done now. I will live and let live as soon as they do. And they're not doing it. They're fighting against violent criminals and left and being deported. They're fighting against everything that makes sense. Just because the conservatives want it, it's now status quo. We can't fight it. This is Herbert Marcuse. This is Herbert Marcuse and what was his friggin' essay? But essentially in the essay, repressive tolerance. This is repressive tolerance, that you accept everything on the left. Violence, anger, everything. And you accept nothing on the right. This is repressive tolerance in action. And we cannot allow repressive tolerance to be the way of the day. Drive-by media lives by it. They will cover for everything on the left. They will sit there in the moment. You have to look at when Charlie Kirk was killed. All of a sudden, they did as quick as they could to tell you it was a conservative, it was a Republican, it was a Trump supporter, because it was okay that a leftist killed somebody on the right. In their eyes, it was fine. Repressive tolerance made it okay. And the fact that we know these things, we cannot take our foot off the pedal. We need to win the culture war. We need to win it politically. Once we get the extreme side out and we defeat the communists and we defeat the socialists, which will never truly be defeated, but we beat them back to a point where they have zero institutional power, which is going to take a very long time because they have amassed a ton of institutional power in the media, in academia, in local politics, in all of politics, and in Hollywood. In all of these pillars, they have a massive foothold. So no, it took them about 50 years to get here. It's going to take us 100 to beat them back. We cannot stop, period. So no, I'm sorry, ChatGPT. I will not be conceding that one. And that was the last one on culture and stability. So I thought that this was interesting. I thought that, it's probably fake, okay, because everything on the internet's fake. But I thought that this was interesting. Um, Caveat to saying no mo FOMO. Agreed. Subjugation, either way, seems to be the only way. And the thing is, I don't want to subjugate the left. The right doesn't want to do that. The thing what I want to see is, like I said, I want us to beat back that ideology of communism and socialism, get it out of here, and then by osmosis, I want the right coalition to basically break back up into its natural forms, where we'll have Barry Weiss, James Lindsay, um, uh, old school Sargon, and things like that. They'll be on the left. We will be debating them again. People, Jonah Goldberg and Jonah's back on the left. He's a fucking idiot. But people like that, Glenn Greenwald, will be back on the left. And that's okay. That's a left we can debate with, right? Jillian Michaels, back on the left. And then you'll have your conservatives on the right, your suit wearing stodgies in the Daily Wire, your Blaze people, your Torch, your Glenn Becks, and that'll be that side. And we'll have a legitimate policy debates again. That's when we can go back to the old school. And we can go back that way. There is no going back until communism and socialism is rooted out. And I'm sorry to break it to the leftists, fascism. Y'all are fascists, okay? That's your ideology. It is the left. Nietzsche saying they won't even acknowledge Thomas Crooks or Robinson being left. They lie and say they were both right wing. Exactly. This is repressive tolerance, and they at its finest. It's a repressive tolerance. It's rules for radicals rolled into one. In terms of the education, it's Paulo Freire. Like it is, and here's the thing: I will give this credit where credit is due. A lot of my knowledge on the leftists and leftism and things like that comes from my times listening to James Lindsay and New Discourses and him recommending certain books for us to read up on. You could disagree with James's diagnosis of the work woke right all you want. But when you want to learn about what the leftist, not the left, but the leftist, the far left, communist, fascist, socialists are truly thinking, James has done the homework and he is great with recommending the books that you should be reading in order to know their playbook, which is why I'm not willing to throw James Lindsay away. I disagree with him on a good amount of things now. I feel like we've grown in different ways where James gets on his jihads and he fights. And that's one thing we like that about James when he was doing it to the left. We don't like it when he's aiming it somewhere else. And whether we agree or not, that's his style. And we need to acknowledge at times when people that we disagree with now were very valuable and still can be. So that's my little soapbox there. But I found this interesting. Again, it's probably fake. Honestly, it's probably just straight up written by somebody, not ChatGPT. But I did find it interesting. Now, something that is shitty and not the most interesting, but harrowing. Over here, Bill Milligan from Fox News saying breaking. ICE has provided Fox News a list of the most egregious criminal aliens they've arrested during their surge in sanctuary state of Minnesota, and its most disturbing list I've ever seen, including numerous victims, child rapes, sodomized, all that type of stuff. Graphic, warning graphic content. And real quick, let me just go down to the bottom. This is the picture of all the people that they talk about here, okay? So let's read up on what these individuals have done. And it does suck. I didn't read them all. So, Srudorn Fivian, a Laotian illegal alien convicted of strong-arm sodomy of a boy and strong-arm sodomy of a girl with deportation order since 2018. They've gotten out now in 2025, 2026. Tu Vang, a Laotian illegal alien convicted of essay and Sodom of a girl 13 years old, procuring child prostitution with the deportation order since 2006. 20-year-old deportation order. Chong View, a Laotian illegal alien convicted of strong-arm rape of a 12-year-old and kidnapping a child with intent to essay. Deportation order since 2004. This stuff's unexcusable. Gay Yang, G Yang, a Laotian illegal alien convicted of strong-arm rape, aggravated assault with a weapon, and strangulation. Deportation order since 2012. These all have a deportation order almost over a decade. Pao Chua Zhang, a Laotian illegal alien convicted of grape and child gropage with deportation since 2003. Cool lore. Laotian illegal alien convicted of grape with a weapon, and SA with the deportation order since 1996. This is insane. This is insane. We're going to keep going because this needs to be known. Hernan Cortez Valencia, Mexican illegal alien convicted of SA of a child and DUI with a deportation order since 2016. Abdurrashid Adosh Elmi, a Somalian illegal convicted of homicide, killing somebody. Gilberto Salguero Landaverde, a Salvadorian illegal alien convicted of 3 counts of homicide, so 3 murders, and a deportation order since June of last year. Gabriel Figueroa Gama, a Mexican illegal convicted of homicide, who was previously deported in 2002. Guess got back here when Biden was like, hey, let's come on in. Galuak Michael Rockguy, a Sudanese illegal convicted of homicide. Ty Laura, a Laotian illegal convicted of 2 counts of homicide with the deportation order since 2009. Mariana Sia Kanu, an illegal alien from Sierra Leone convicted of 2 counts of homicide with deportation of 2022. These are illegal aliens killing people, SAing people, graping. It's insane. Aldrin Guerrero Munez, a Mexican illegal alien convicted of homicide with deportation order since 2015. Abradashi Muhammad Ahmad, a Somalian illegal convicted of manslaughter with the deportation order since 2022. Mandang Dual Manyang Deng, a Sudanese illegal convicted of attempted homicide, weapon possession, and Dewey. Alger Gomez Lucas, a Guatemalan illegal convicted of negligent homicide with the vehicle and DUI, deportation order since 2022. And Sui Tu, a Burmese illegal alien convicted of negligent homicide. ICE says all these criminal aliens were roaming freely in the sanctuary state of Minnesota prior to arrest, and that these are the type of people the politicians and activists are referring to as their neighbors as they attempt to interfere with ICE. I just want to read this list because, man, it needs to be read. These things need to be known. Nachi saying James Lindsay did 2 good things: his fake papers and his diagnosis of leftism. He's lame and gay about everything else. He did a little more. He really broke down. The leftism thing is a much bigger prism. He talked a lot about the in-depth knowledge of communism and relating it to a lot of the things that we saw today. He went in depth not only into communism in Russia, but he talked a ton about Chairman Mao, Pol Pot in Cambodia. He talked a lot about Che Guevara. He talked about the educational system with Paulo Freire, the UN, Angela Bogovsky, Alice Bailey. He really brought to light a lot of things, and a lot of things that the Lotus Eaters crew has done a great job on too. Don't get me wrong. Lotus Eater crew has been on top of a boatload of this. There's a lot of them there doing a lot of good work, and they do similar work. So it sucks to see James Lindsay at odds with Sargon and that crew. He makes enemies he doesn't need to make. I completely am on board with that he is a loose cannon with a lot of these things. He should make a lot more allies than he does, but he's someone that doesn't give a shit. But he has, the woke right thing. The issue with the woke right thing is he turned it from something that had legs into something that just became person I don't like or person I disagree with. So, but you got to remember, James Lindsay is somebody on the left. He's a Democrat, guys. He's a more traditional Democrat who just couldn't go over with the woke crazies and used his power of research and, whether you like him or not, his intelligence to help out in a time of need. Nate's saying, did you see that clip of David Spade lamenting Gavin Newsom signing fraud into law? I didn't hear the clip, but I did see him saying it. And I mean, David Spade and Dana Carvey's podcast has had some base moments, so I'm not surprised. But going from that to something like this, where I just want to laugh. I don't know who Micah Erfrin is. I might have to. He's a check mark. I have no idea who this. But Pearl Davis and Anna Kasparian, your girl Nate, despite days of prep, froze under even mild pressure. It was wild to be a professional political commentator without being able to defend your views. And this is a minute of pain watching Pearl just have this. So let's just watch what happens here. This is painful, guys. This goes on for a straight minute. Pearl just can't have her own way. This is hard to watch. Jesus. So, I mean, no volume, no sound? Really? Why is there no sound? There should be sound here. How is there no sound? Well, here's the thing, Rollin. There didn't need to be much sound. Because what it was Anna asking a question, and Pearl doesn't say anything, Rollin. She froze. Maybe that's what you were hearing because she froze, Rollin. There was nothing to be said. Pearl didn't have anything to say. I hear you, not the clip. But like I said, honestly, the clip is now not playing, but the whole point of the clip was that Pearl froze. She didn't say anything. And part of me feels bad because it's easy to talk. Honestly, here, this isn't bad. There's no one in front of me. I'm talking to a camera. I'm seeing a chat. This isn't that hard, right? There's no pushback in my ideas. When David's here, there's a little bit of pushback, but he's on a screen, right? Very different. Very different. No clip sound. Okay, crap. You couldn't even hear Anna talk? Anyway, but let me see. Didn't even hear the question. Here, let's tell me if you guys can hear it now. She said, "Are you making things up?" Did you hear that? It should be live. I don't know. Sometimes X sucks. I'm wondering if you guys can hear it now. There's not much being said. That's the thing. Pearl's freezing at this point. Like Pearl says something that's why people cheer. Nate, you just want to hear your angel speaking. That's it. Wow. Okay. No sound from this one. I have no idea why there was no sound here. But either way, there wasn't much to be heard. Like I said, Pearl froze up, and it's very different talking in front of a microphone with just a camera online than it is to actually be on stage. The bright lights on you. Anna's a professional. Anna Kasparian's a professional. She does it for a living as commentator. If I hear Sweet Anna, I'd let you know. She does it for a living as commentary on the Young Turks. Um, she absolutely knows what she's doing there. And she's debated before. It's not like this is the first time that she's ever debated. I don't know if this is Pearl's first time being in that situation. And when you just freeze, you get that stage fright kicking in, it takes you over. Pearl had nothing to say, and Pearl's getting ripped. Pearl's getting ripped. She's going to get sympathy because, listen, I give some sympathy. That moment sucks, right? That moment sucks, but you can't be Pearl Davis. Talk all the shit you do. And when you have the opportunity to really talk about it, even if you sound like a dumbass, you got to say something, right? You can't just say nothing. You got to say something. So, Nate saying Anna looking as good as ever. She looks good, but she's getting a little more retarded again. She's getting close to it. So, all right. So let's go from Pearl Davis being a retard to another full retard. Ashley St. Clair. So we have from Cogman Lee over here. I'm going to click on this one. Cogman Lee saying she's going to tune out her child, isn't she? So let's look at this interaction from Ashley St. Clair over to somebody talking about trans ideology. Ashley saying dark woke cause to the other option is bootlicking feds plus pedophiles plus nerds. Onion person says, you previously engaged in blatant transphobia. How do you feel about trans people in the wake of noticing how the far right truly is? Now, mind you, Ashley was essentially a comedian on the right. She was a commentary, but she was like the funny person. She would make a lot of jokes. She did the boots thing, and she had a lot of friends in there. And this is her showing that, number one, I don't think she ever believed in what she said, okay? You can't have this much of a change if you ever believed in what you said. Because going from the right to the left means you're becoming evil, period. Like, you can't. So let's see what she had to say. And this is all because she's mad at Elon, guys. This is a woman scorn. That's all this is. Ashley St. Clair, I feel immense guilt for my role, and even more guilt that the things I have said in the past may have caused my son's sister more pain. And when he talks about my son's sister, she's talking about Elon's trans friggin' daughter. That's now our trans son. That's now a girl. I don't really know how to make amends for many of these things, but I have been trying incredibly hard privately to learn and advocate for those within the trans community that I've hurt. I also haven't said much because I have gone back and forth over whether my voice would be helpful on this issue, since it will be framed as disingenuous or just turning because I'm scorned, which is exactly true. Even this reply will become right hysteria. But yeah, I'm sorry. Let me know how I can help. I mean, listen, you're mad because Elon won't give you more money, okay? And to this, I don't have it, but Elon responded that he's going to be fighting for full custody. And God, I hope he gets it. Because on top of that, Cogman Lee put this out. She wrote a children's book against transgenderism, and now she's defending tuning out children in just a few years. And since then, Brave Books took her name off of Elephants Are Not Birds, which was about elephants being elephants. They can never turn to birds. Basically, trans people can never change. But, man, this is why we don't love them hoes, okay? Bottom line, we don't love them hoes. Because Isabella Moody, who is a crazy bitch, put out things saying, a while ago that this was Ashley St. Clair's plan to try and get with Elon and have one of his babies and be set forever. And so it seems like she did what she did and she got what she got. You played a game, you lost. And now, what's the result? I'm going to completely change my view because I know Elon truly hates the trans issue, hates what happened to his son. And you know what? I am now going to go right at that. This woman has no values. She has no moral compass. She has nothing. Okay. Like I said, I'm a fan of Tim Cast. I heard Tim. He was saying like, I'm still French. She was nice to me. And this is why we can't just push people away on the side. Like, Tim, nobody pushed her away, dude. No one pushed her away. We saw she was a gold digger. Period. There's nothing to it. I'm not going to celebrate Elon having 1 million kids. Like, that's not great either when you're not going to be a good father to all of them. But at the same time, you can recognize a gold digger when they exist. And calling them out isn't a bad thing, okay? The moment we heard that Ashley St. Clair was pregnant with Elon's kid, we all knew what it was. And that's just it. You can't be on the right and be this big person on the right and then go have a kid out of wedlock. Here's the thing. Elon's not on the right. Okay, guys? I've said this before. I'll say it again. Elon is on how can I get to Mars? How can I make more money for SpaceX and get the fuck out of here? That's all Elon is on. Does he help causes on the right because he believes that we're going to further him getting him there? That's the only reason he's doing it. I truly don't believe he cares about freedom of speech. He doesn't give a shit about it. He's using that because then it makes him more money. Like, we got to be smart here, guys. We got to be smart. And Trump uses Elon too. They use each other. Two powerful billionaires that use each other to get ahead. That is it. And Elon is going to be remembered as one of the greatest inventors in the history of man. And one of the most impactful humans to ever live. And that's not even in question. But I mean, we got to call a spade sometimes here. And Cogman Lee's 100% right. So, all right, switching gears. We're going to talk a little bit about the Don, even though, and I just mentioned him. Poly Market. This is from the 9th. I found this interesting. France delayed this year's G7 summit to avoid conflict with UFC event planned at the White House on Donald Trump's birthday, which, again, retarded, guys. It was planned on Flag Day. Poly Market's an asshole, but it was planned on Flag Day, okay? And you have Andrew Tate down there. That's right, bitches. But Flag Day is Donald Trump's birthday. And he's doing it for Flag Day because it's a part of the 250th celebration of 250 years of America, which we are currently in. But that's based as shit. That the France is delaying the summit to not interfere with the UFC event at the White House. That's awesome. That is awesome. That they sat there and they're just like, as much as they talk shit and everything, they realize that there's no G7 without America. Caveat Ty saying like Edison, Edison stole everything. I don't think Elon steals everything. Definitely thinks he's probably just throwing his name on or throwing a tap. But I don't think he steals everything. There's a lot of things he develops on his own. But I just wanted to point out just how fucking base this is. That France is like, big major world summit or UFC event at the White House. If Donald Trump can't be here, then is it really an event worth going to? If America is not represented, does this event matter? And the answer is no. We know the event doesn't matter if America's not there. So I just thought this was based and awesome. Speaking of something interesting, let's jump right over to here. Interactive polls, Wall Street Journal poll, 92% of people who voted for Trump in 2024 are giving him a positive job rating, including 70% who strongly approve. This flies in the face of everybody that says that Trump's support is waning. That all these people are flooding away from Trump, that he's doing too much, he's not that popular, all these things are unpopular. He's still immensely popular. And this doesn't say 92% of Republicans have voted for Trump. 92% of people. He has retained, and I get it, it's only 1 year in, but he has retained 92% of his voter base. That's huge, y'all. That is big. Now, there's a lot that can happen in the next 3 years. But what this says is, if he continues this strong move that he has, right? That if everything that he's doing foreign, and I talked the other night about how I believe that Trump only has one policy. There is no domestic, there is no foreign. It's just America first, period. If he continues to move forward and his gambles, because all they are right now is gambles, and honestly, most things around the world and things that you're doing geopolitically are gambles. When you're playing with people's lives, they have free will and free choice, and they throw wrenches into things, right? But if his gambles start to pay off major, and the foreign things that he's doing start to turn into economic successes here, that number is going to carry. And the quote unquote referendum that's going to be on Donald Trump for the midterms, because typically the midterms are the referendum on the sitting party, the party in favor of the president, right? This could be either a very limited loss, or we could see something historically unprecedented coming in the midterms. So I found this interesting. This is something to watch, how this happens and what happens here. Sorry, speaking of interesting, this I found to be pretty wild. There was I don't know which committee it was in, but Senator Hawley, who I'm not a major Josh Hawley fan, was grilling Nisha Verma, who's a known shithead doctor on the left, about, can a man get pregnant? And this is 5 minutes. I don't know if we're going to watch all 5, but I respect Hawley for this clip, but this is all it is. But still, let's watch it. It's interesting. Let me know if we have sound here, guys. So you see just like dancing around the question completely. I hesitated and I see people and can men get pregnant? That's the question. Can men get pregnant? And it's like, it's interesting. The reason, no sound again. What the fuck is going on here? Nah, we got to figure this out because we had sound earlier. Yeah, I know you've heard, but why is there no sound here? What we're going to do is we are going to stop sharing for a moment. And then we are going to share again. See if that works. Also share tab audio. Yes. All right, let me know now.
A biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
can men get pregnant?
Many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women. That
can men get pregnant?
Again,
Hawley is here just hammering, can men get pregnant? Let me know, chat, if I just reshared it and hopefully the clip can be heard now. Let me know if you can hear it now, because that'll be pretty annoying, because I have a few more videos lined up, and if you can't hear any of it, that'll be a pain in the ass. The tab is supposed to share. Yeah, hear it now. See, sometimes resharing fixes it. Okay, let's go.
As I'm saying,
let me just remind you what you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So can men get pregnant? You're a doctor, I think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes, no questions like this are a political tool.
It's so crazy. This woman refuses to answer the question because they know, these leftists know, that their narrative is broken if they acknowledge the binary, right? If they acknowledge the binary exists, then the whole entire transgender, all that shit goes out the window. But the thing is, they have to acknowledge a binary. They know a binary exists because you can't know if you feel like a man or if you feel like a woman unless there's something to juxtapose it against. It just goes to show how wackadoo the whole entire thing is.
No, yes, no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence. And I'm asking... Which,
again, Senator Hawley is only here for clips. I mean, they don't do anything. He had a terrible vote the other day. He sucks. So let's keep going.
Thank you. You know, the United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives.
Here.
And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert. And you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor, and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not.
And this is what they do. Like, you hear the answer. I think you're trying to reduce the complexity. The leftists will always try to tell you something simple is complex. That's one of the things that they do, is something that is simple, that is black and white. Because don't get me wrong, in life, there are gray areas, right? There are certainly gray areas about things that go on. But in this one, there isn't. And they tend to do this because you want to know why? Because she tries to tell you how complex it is, because she wants to be the one with knowledge in the room. She wants to be the only one that can tell you what you're supposed to think about something. So when she goes on and says, well, it's complex, that's her way of saying, I have knowledge that you don't have. Hence why you need to listen to me and my knowledge, because I know better than you.
I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity.
And the thing is, we're only at 2 minutes and 10 seconds through this.
As a medical professional and as a scientist, can men get pregnant?
I think you're
Keeps
also
hammering the same question.
conflating
This is
male
extraordinary.
female with
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things. There's biological men and there's biological women. And I want to know, can men get pregnant?
What you were talking about is biological.
You're not going to
you were
answer my
saying
question, it sounds like to me.
Biological males.
This isn't hard, doctor. Can men get pregnant? Yes or no?
Again, I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you that is not coming from a place of trying to be polarized.
And again, I want to have a con. And this is the thing. And this is one thing that Josh Hawley's doing well. And they're both trying to have barbs here about where the conversation is coming from. She wants to control it on her terms. She wants to control it on based on what she wants to say in terms of the leftist talking points, right? That is how she wants to come about it. Where the one thing I will give Josh Hawley credit for is he's not allowing her to then change where the conversation goes from. She's not allowing her to start the debate of gender versus biology, by sex and biology. He's just keeping it basic brass tacks. They can't answer that. They have to make it more complex to make it sound more difficult than it is.
And push
I'm not
people-
trying to be polarizing. I'm trying to ask, I think it is extraordinary that we are here in a hearing about science and about women. And for the record, it's women who get pregnant, not men.
It also
We are here.
But here's the thing right there. Like, he makes it for the record. You need to make them answer. Like, I don't like that he concedes there and gives the answer. You need to continue to force that answer. Put them and make them feel foolish and trick them into answering it. Because she knows the truth, as well as everybody else that watches. They all know the truth.
About the safety of women and science that shows that this abortion drug causes adverse health events in 11% of cases. That's 22 times greater than the FDA label. Another.
And the thing is too, like, yeah, the abortion pill is a terrible thing. Women suffer immensely with that abortion pill. A lot of the times they're not with people, from what I understand. And even if you are, like, it can't be fun.
Fact you haven't acknowledged, and yet you won't even acknowledge the basic reality that biological men don't get pregnant. There's a difference between biological men and biological women. I don't know how we can take you seriously and your claims to be a person of science if you won't level with this on this basic issue. I thought we were past all of this, Frank.
And the thing is, at this point, I don't know how the rest of it went. And the issue is, at these types of things, they all have their prepared 5-minute remarks and grandstands. They know the questions they want to ask. But what should be done after this is every single time a Republican gets a chance to talk, and I didn't watch the hearing. Sometimes I'll watch hearings that are interesting. I am that guy that will watch C-SPAN. But every single time the left goes and tries to give an answer, what the Republicans should do is say, make sure you strike from the record everything that Dr. Verna says, because she obviously does not have the expertise in the subject matter. So therefore, I move to strike all of her comments and make the Democrats defend her. And make the chairman have to say, we cannot do that. But I would ask to strike every single thing from the record that she says from that point on, because obviously she's not an expert. She doesn't understand what she's there for. She doesn't understand what she, she knows what it is, but she's outwardly saying that, oh, she's trying to make it more complex. So that is how every single Republican should have started their 5 minutes, is if Dr. Verna had any answer to any question, it should be, I do not acknowledge the expertise or the veracity of Dr. Verna as a witness. I move to strike everything that she just said. I don't know. I doubt that anyone did that, but that's how they should have done it. Caveat Ty saying she's never going to give a straight answer. Yeah, absolutely.
Frankly, I can't believe we're still here talking about this.
I am a person of science, and I'm also someone here who's here to represent the complex experiences of my patients, and I don't think polarized language or questions serve that goal. I don't think
And here's the thing. She's using polarized in a way it's not actually defined. It's not the way she's using it isn't actually polarizing. Just means that there's things that are pulling you one way or the other and making it very divisive, right? Asking if somebody with one biological sex can give childbirth over another, if one can or can't, is not a polarizing question. But like a postmodernist, like these leftists do, they use words out of definition in order in their own terms. Again, this is a boxing match between two individuals that want things on their terms.
serve the American people.
It is not polarizing to say that there is a scientific difference between men and women. And I want this to be clear and for the record. It is not polarizing to say that women are a biological reality and should be treated and protected as such.
Agreed.
That is not polarizing. That is truth. It is also, by the way, the United States Constitution, which offers unique protections to women.
Fun fact. Do you think a person like Josh Hawley goes back and just throws C-SPAN right on and reverses and watches himself and makes his staff watch and goes, how'd I do, guys? Was my emotion good? Did I seem angry enough? How was I coming off? Did I come off like I was passionate about this? Because again, it's all an act, because he's going to use this as a fundraiser. That's all these moments are for. So okay, they could take these back, they could take these clips, and they can use this as a fundraiser. Look, Senator Hawley, he fights for women and he fights again, to keep them in their spaces. Please come to this $1,000 plate dinner. That's what this is for, guys. We know this. We've seen this before. This is the issue with with politics here and how it's run. But at least it's a good clip for us to enjoy, right? Caveat Ty saying, quote, the reason we seek out experts is to give clear answers. If you can't give a clear answer, you're not an expert. Any joker can get to there and say it's complex. Who can know? Again, that's what the leftists do. And yes, I agree. That's what we should say. And again, we should strike everything that she says or attempt to.
In a variety of circumstances as women. And your refusal to recognize women as women and men as men is deeply corrosive to science, to public trust, and yes, to constitutional protections for women as women. And I think it's extraordinary that you would sit here and advance a political agenda that has been thoroughly discredited and rejected by the American people in this forum. And I'm glad we had this exchange because it is exceptionally clarifying. It is also in many ways quite depressing. I see that my time is nearly expired. I just want to thank the other witnesses.
So yeah, no, it's again, it's a good clip. It's a clip we all salivate at, but unfortunately that's all it is, guys. And we know this. It's only a clip. Dr. Verma's not going to get her, her medical license revoked, even though she should, obviously, right? If you can't answer something that basic when the people that give them their licenses hear this, they should be emailing her as she's there saying, hey, we are bringing you in front of the board and we need you to, restate and fight for your rights to have your medical practicing license in order, right? Because if you can't acknowledge that, then your license should be in jeopardy. But we know that's not going to happen. This is a good clip. This is something on the right we could salivate for. Josh Hawley can go and make some money off of it. But man, Nachi, Dr. Verma, do not redeem. I don't know if I'm going to get canceled for that, but I'm cool with it. All right, so I'm going to this clip. This is another thing that, God, I want it to be real, but it's so much lip service. Donald Trump, President Trump, did a Truth Social post, which I can't zoom in, and I apologize, guys. But he said, Everyone is asking about the auto pen. What was done is totally illegal, and anything signed that way is of, quote, no further force or effect. The person who worked the auto pen had no idea whether or not Biden approved of what he was doing. There was no order in writing, and it was an absolutely illegal act perpetrated by the radical left insurrectionists who illegally ran the Biden administration. Every one of them should be arrested for what they have done to our country. They didn't win the presidency, but when you think of it, neither did Joe Biden. The whole thing was rigged. There must be a price to pay, and it has got to be a big one. President Donald J. Trump. So, like everyone else, I am excited to see these things at times. But then you get faced with the reality that no one's going to go to jail. And if it is, it's going to be some lower level staffer that we found out was working the auto pen. That person may go to prison, but Biden's not going to go to prison. Anthony Blinken's not going to go to prison. All of these individuals in the cabinet, none of them are going anywhere. Kamala's not going anywhere. They're not going to get arrested. We're not going to get a perp walk. They're not going to get charged. This is the type of stuff that drives people nuts, right? This is the type of stuff that Trump has been saying since 2015. We'll lock her up with Hillary. And then once he won, he was like, nah, we're not going to lock her up. We just saw the Clintons committed, they didn't show up for when they were subpoenaed to go in front of the oversight committee, I believe it was. And Bannon and Peter Navarro went to jail for that. We know Bill and Hillary aren't going to jail for that. So it's one of those things where it's nice to see, but performative at best, I think, is the nice way to put it. But I just wanted to bring it up. If something moves on this, if some real names at least get called for their day and, get charged and get an indictment, I will eat my words. But it's wishful thinking until then. But speaking of someone who's been fairly based in his words, voting it can be better, but fairly based in his words, John Fetterman, talking about Greenland. And obviously he's going to be in front of a crowd who thinks Trump is wrong for it. But let's hear what he had to say.
Do you think military force is really an option from the Trump administration?
No. No. I think that's wrong. No, that's not an option. And for me though, it's also undeniable that this is not a brand new conversation.
One thing that I think Fetterman has proven over and over, whoever instructs him has a good grasp on history. And I hope you guys can hear this clip. Let me know if you can hear this one. Now I'm paranoid you guys can't hear a whole bunch of clips, but he has a good grasp on history. Whoever's in his staff is doing a good job, or maybe this is something that he always liked, because it hasn't been the first time that he's talked about the historical things when people are saying, well, something's unprecedented. He has kind of corrected the record better than most conservatives have, with correcting and saying, no, this really isn't unprecedented. This has been done before. And sometimes he'll even cite individuals that did it. So as long as we can hear, let's keep going with the clip. I hope we can.
Truman and other in the past offered to buy it there. And now I also remind people it's actually closer to us geographically, North America, to Denmark and Europe, to technically that too. So it's not an absurd idea.
Not at all. Do you think?
So yeah, really, really interesting stuff there. Fetterman is very close to switching his party affiliation. Now he's still voting with the Democrats on basically everything. I think he breaks away sometimes, but for the most part, he's voting with the Democrats. But that's par for the course when you're in their caucus. You're not going to break away as much, right? People need to remember, people get on Massey and Rand Paul and stuff like that. They're libertarians first. They ran as Republicans, but they're libertarians. So they're going to vote with their libertarian lean. To see Fetterman speaking out the way he does when the whole entire rhetoric is anything Trump does bad, Fetterman hasn't openly been that guy. So it's interesting to see. I think Fetterman is very close to switching party affiliation, maybe independent and not Republican full out. But it's just very interesting to see just how he has. And honestly, he's come back as he's healed so much better. It's wild to see. But I want to go to this clip, continuing on the Greenland trend, because Stephen Miller doing Stephen Miller things and just sitting there and taking everyone to school when it comes to almost anything the man speaks on. Like, he's one of the best. Like, the one thing that he has done so well and that Trump has done well is he has a bunch of people that not only believe in his cause around him, at least will do his work, but also talk about it really well. Whether it's Miller, Rubio, Vance, Bassett, Holman, even Noam speaks well. Tulsi Gabbard obviously could speak well. In terms of, even RFK, I hate his voice, but he's at least articulate with what he wants to say. Nietzsche saying Massey is my favorite. Massey's one of my favorite congressmen, easily. I like Massey a lot. I disagree sometimes with some of his votes, but I know he's a principled guy. I do know he's a principled guy. So, and it's fortunate where he is. He's in a safe seat. So even with Trump going after him, they're not going to get him. And in the same token, I can understand why Trump is pissed at him. So it's like I'm not knocking either of them. It's politics. So let's see what Stephen Miller had to say here about Greenland.
Greenland is essential for America's national security. The new domain of international competition is going to be polar competition. That is where.
So the thing is, like, they keep hearing this, and I don't know if this is just a talking point that it is essential for U.S. national security, or if it is something that's a talking point in order to do it, because I've heard about us wanting to have Greenland before, right? Like, obviously Fetterman talked about it, but I've never heard that it's a national security thing. That's a new one to me. And I don't know if it's just a talking point to try, and the more, people are saying it. And the more you say it, the more it gets into parlance, and the more people are like, I guess it is. They keep saying it. They know things we don't. But I don't know if this is just a talking point. Caveat Ty saying, just not Bondi. They've kind of hidden Pam Bondi a lot. They made some tweets, but she hasn't been out in front of the press as much. They've kind of, Kash Patel hasn't been out in front as much. I think they realize some of their weak links, and they're just not letting them out. If Pam Bondi, Bondi and Patel need wins. They need to do their jobs, and they need to go, and unless Bondi is going to get some scalps for the right, build some real cases. And I truly am holding on to hope that they're, between the FBI and the DOJ, they're just building cases that are ironclad. So if and when they do make arrests, that they're going to stick. That is my hope. Okay. Let's keep going with Miller over here.
More and more resources are being spent by our nation's adversaries and rivals is the ability to control movement, navigation, lanes of travel in the polar and Arctic regions. Greenland is 25% larger than Alaska. Greenland.
It's crazy. The whole entire movements of travel and things, like, these are all things I've never heard talked of. Maybe they're just things I don't think of because I'm not worried about the trade lines and things like that. But man, EU just halted some trade agreement about Greenland. Euros are the worst. I mean, listen, it's going to hurt them worse, right? We can withstand the EU with a trade agreement halting because we just stole Venezuela. So fuck them, right?
Greenland is the size of 1/4 of the continental United States. With respect to Denmark, Denmark is a tiny country with a tiny economy and a tiny military. They cannot defend Greenland. They cannot control the territory of Greenland. Under every understanding of law that has existed about territorial control for 500 years, to control a territory, you have to be able to defend a territory.
And that's a good point. Because the thing is, Denmark doesn't defend shit. We defend Denmark, right? We defend all of these countries. There are very few countries that have a military to stand on their own. I think Denmark's military is 30,000 deep, right? That is nothing. They can't defend a damn thing.
Improve a territory, inhabit a territory. Denmark has failed on every single one of these tests. So they want us to spend hundreds of billions of dollars defending a territory for them that is 25% bigger than Alaska at 100% American expense. But they say, while we do this, it belongs 100% to Denmark. It's a raw deal. It's an unfair deal. And most importantly, it's unfair to the American taxpayer.
The thing is, and it goes back to the deals that we are made, right? And this has been one of Trump's things. Stephen Miller's been fantastic on it, saying that it's a raw deal, that's a bad deal, and laying out why. That's one thing they've been great at, is laying out exactly why they're doing what they're doing and what they believe in what they're doing. And putting it back on everything we do to defend Greenland, everything we do to help Denmark, and how it's another one of these imbalances that Trump sees as a problem internationally, that we are giving everything and getting nothing back. And he has been, like I explained the other night, trying to just level playing fields around the world, to just give Americans a fair shake, because he believes that when Americans have a fair shake, that we dominate markets. And he's not wrong. Nachi saying, imagine the EU trying to hold together without US aid. The EU can't hold together in general. Half their countries are fucking bankrupt.
Who have subsidized all of Europe's defense for generations now.
Yes, we have.
American dollars, American treasure, American blood, American ingenuity is what keeps Europe safe and the free world safe. And Donald Trump's insisting that we be respected, Sean.
And that is why Stephen Miller is Stephen Miller, man. Like, I have seen floated around a Stephen Miller Vance ticket or a Stephen Miller Rubio ticket, something like that. If Stephen Miller goes for VP, holy shit, man. Holy shit. Talk about a guy who has a grasp on things. He'd be so freaking awesome. Nachi saying the old tariff deals and security deals were of the Cold War era. We don't need to fight global communism anymore. EU is the second biggest combined GDP in the world. Yeah, and EU was only created to basically be a cudgel against the United States. It's the same exact theory, right? The European Union is the same theory as the United States, because the one thing people need to remember about the United States is each state is exactly that. They are a nation state. That is how we were designed. We were separate little nation states. And we have just made an agreement to make a union, and a binding union, to be the United States. We, the best way to think about it, New York, New Jersey, Nebraska, South Dakota are no different in theory than Italy or France or Denmark. Those are all nation states as well. And they agreed to essentially do exactly what we did in the United States when creating the EU. The difference is, when the United States was created, the colonies didn't have that much history, right? So they were very willing to, even though they were very strong, they were still their own states. That's the thing. People remember states' rights. They were still their own nation states. And they treated themselves as such. They had their own currencies. They had their own everything. That's why each state has its own constitution. They all have their own constitution. There's a reason for that, because we're all technically individual states, but we're in an agreed upon union. And we don't have as much history behind us. So when all these new states, and we have our 50 states, and we're still all agreed in union, our history is based off of the founding in 1776 and then the later additions with Manifest Destiny, as opposed to European nation states that have thousands of years of history behind them. Now, some like Italy, some like Germany are still freshly unified in terms of world time, right? It really wasn't that long ago that like the Medicis unified Italy, or Otto von Bismarck unified the Germanic regions. Still much more history than the Americans have. But even if you go to Germany, even if you go to Italy, they still are very separate in a lot of ways. Southern Italy kind of hates all of Northern Italy, because there were so many bloody battles between the kings and the kingdoms. They still think of themselves that way. The Germanic regions still separate themselves by different ways. Von Bismarck brought them together via war, but they still very much think of themselves as separate peoples with 1,000+ years of history. So you have all that history. So creating the EU is more difficult, because they have all of this national homogenous pride there. So therein lies the big difference in terms of everything about the EU and shit like that. Caveat I say, what if Denmark just gave it to Canada to spite us? I'd be fucking based. Honestly, I would be happy. I would be fine with that, but that by extension, that would be Commonwealth in the UK too. But that would be friggin' hilarious. Caveat saying, that'd be funny. Canada's a hurting, now a new territory. Nietzsche saying Nebraska would whoop Italy in basketball, number 8 in the nation. I don't know. Italians have some good players, man. Pablo Prigioni was very underrated for his time. But yeah, Stephen Miller is based as shit. And I think that we just need to keep on seeing examples of Stephen Miller being based. So right here, this is a questionable one. I'm interested to see, Nate and Roland, your reactions. Because it was floated around that President Trump, and I think he's going to do it, because you read this, wants to do the 10% interest rate. So let's hear what Trump has to say.
Well, then they're in violation of the law. Very severe things. No, I want a cap on credit card interest rates because, you know, some of them are 28, almost 30%. And that, people don't know they're paying 30%. The people out there, you know, they're working and they have no idea that they're paying 30%. No way. We're putting a 1-year cap at 10%, and that's it. They know it. They've really abused the public. The credit card companies have totally abused it. I'm not going to let it happen.
So this is the populist in Trump, right? This is the populist in Trump putting a 10% cap for a year. Now, I think the key is for a year, right? That it's a 10% cap for a year, that it's meant to get people to have, you know, a year of being able to save. He's saying it's right around like 20, 30%. You're saving 10 to 20% each month of payments. That adds up. It adds up in terms of, especially with all the credit card debt. Now, I'm with you, caveat. I'm not a fan of the federal government doing something like this, telling a private entity like a credit card company what they can and can't do. But at the same exact time, it's a bizarre thing. Government getting involved is not a great thing ever. So I don't know. Nate's saying very leftist position. Also, what does a 1-year cap mean? Every credit contract will go 18 months, 0 APR, and crank it up after the law. Agreed. This is a very, and the thing is, that's the issue with a populist as a president, right? The populist doesn't necessarily stay in one political realm or the other. They float to what they believe that the populace is craving more. And something like this is something that Trump sees in order to get, now again, Nate and Ron, is this a political play in order to get some money in people's pockets so that they feel better for the midterms and that they turn around and they're fine? Like, I don't know. But the issue is, once you start this capping game, it almost doesn't stop, right? Because, okay, we did 10% for a year. And now, like you said, Nate, they're going to jump back up. But the government can't let that happen. They were happy. People were happy at 10%. Okay, we'll go to 12% now. No, we'll do 12% for a year now. Okay, after the 12%. And it'll inch back up, but it'll inch back up just slow, right? And we'll just see that cap. But then we'll see what happens to the credit card companies. Because if they're used to taking in a certain amount of money, then when they don't take that in, they now have to start denying people on cards that maybe could be, that maybe could be more attainable. They have to giving a lot more risky credit and hoping people can spend a lot more so that they now are getting these interest payments for a longer time. You're going to see the credit card companies do different things in order to make that money back. They're not going to lose this money. They don't lose money. These companies figure out ways to get money. That's their whole purpose. So I'm with you, Nate. I'm not a fan of this. I understand why he's doing it, but I'm not as big of a fan of this. This is something that he said they have until January 20th, which is another, we're in the 18th now since it's past midnight here. So another 3 days, I guess, because it's only midnight. So 3-ish days. Nate's saying there must be polling where this might be possible amongst those people. I don't know. I actively learn econ and finance 5 days a week. Seriously, we all do. That's the one thing about paying attention to Trump. You kind of you see what he wants to do. You kind of see what he wants to do, and then you have to go research some of these things, because some of these things he's touching are economically things I never even thought of. Caveat ties, I don't think this is a leftist position. Both parties are divided on this. You have Michael Knowles, who thinks usury is bad, for instance. I mean, usury is bad, but it's a religious stance, right? Thing is, if you have a religious stance, yes, usury is bad across all religions. But at the same time, we are a country with Judeo-Christian values, but we are not a theocratic nation. So you're going to have usury here. That's going to be a thing. And it's a way businesses have found to make money. That's just it. These companies do it. And now we have some arguments. Capping private contracts is a left position. Yeah, I tend to lean that way too. But we'll see where it goes. We shall see. So this is an interesting development. As we're sticking on the Don, Trump just asks people to do shit. And the thing is, Donald Trump is the absolute theory of just go do things. Okay. So I don't know who the Kobayashi letter is. I've never heard of them before, but this is breaking. President Trump is asking countries who want to serve on his board of peace to contribute at least $1 billion. The $1 billion is a buy-in and it would grant 3 years of membership to the board. Trump has already invited a number of world leaders to the board, including Argentina's Javier Milei and Canada's Mark Carney. There is some speculation that this will be Trump's rival to the UN. More information coming shortly. And I saw other things that he wants to control all the money within the United States. So Trump would have the control, all the money in. Bibi apparently has turned it down. And Keir Starmer is not a fan of it. A lot of countries are pushing back against it. But I do like the attempt, right? Even if this fails, the UN needs to stop. The UN is not a good organization anymore. So I think that people need to realize that even if this is a failure of something, this is a shot to the bow saying, we're going to try and overthrow you, UN. Your days are numbered. So I don't mind this attempt. Caveat Ty saying, I think people need to be heavily discouraged from using so much credit. It will destroy us. But there's also that with Rawan, there needs to be more free will. There needs to be, people need to be allowed to destroy themselves. They really need to be allowed to destroy themselves if they want to. That's part of having freedom. Now I agree with this here. Nate's saying, I totally agree, Caveat. I think education should be, I think the impetus should be on education, on finance, but we won't find a good balance either way. Whether dependent on government or credit, it's still slavery. I agree. Listen, there is levels to this, and I think that's why Trump is attacking it in the way he is with the 10% for 1 year, right? To try and get people back on and maybe less dependent on that credit. But I tend to go with Nate. We need more education on it, and people need to understand what credit does to you, and the lack and that you should be using it less. And I think that's the way to go more than having government intervention. I think government intervention to me should be the absolute last thing. Nate saying, I have zero credit debt, but I know better. But some people lack credit debt, rack credit debt, and never pay a dime, drag through the courts and raise everyone's interest rate. Yeah, I have student loan debt that I'm probably never going to pay off. And then on top of that, I have credit cards, but I make sure I only put on there what I can pay back, right? So I have on there and I make sure what's on there I pay back. And the thing is, people need to learn that they never cancel a line of credit. Because the thing is, like, you want to talk about credit scores, man, this just credit scores in general for life. We already have 3 scores that we go by. We're worried about social credit scores. We have financial credit scores from people outside agencies telling other companies if you're a good bet. That's all Experian, FICO, and whatever the other one is, Equifax. Or I think it's Equi something. I don't know what the other one is, but that's why those exist. And if you cancel a line of credit, now it hurts you. If you do certain things, and no one teaches you what hurts you in credit and what helps you in credit. So if you're going to allow people to have it, I agree there should be education. Nate's saying, I also have needed credit to get through a medical emergency. Glad I have great credit. So do I. I'm happy. And I had terrible credit to my wife. My wife helped me get better credit in terms of she understands it. Caveat is saying, destroy themselves is one thing, but when it destroys others, that's another. Debt is going to lead to our death, but both government debt and or the masses of personal debt. Sorry, just coughed. But listen, this is a tricky one, right? This is one that is absolutely tricky, and this will test your libertarian and conservative streaks, right? As to where is the line of allowing people to have their own free will to make choices, and where are the times where we need government to step in? Again, like I said, I tend to be on the train of the least possible government stepping in. But again, there is no right or wrong answer. I think that, well, there is a right and wrong answer. We'll find out which one is which. So the last thing I'm going to leave off on, because there is a few more things, but I'll get to them tomorrow because it's getting late. It is getting late. So right here, I just want to use this. Mike Lee is based to shit. Like, it's based Mike Lee. I like Mike Lee a lot. I think Mike Lee, out of everyone in Congress, Mike Lee may be my favorite individual in Congress. Thomas Massey's up there, but man, Mike Lee is, to me, if there's a Supreme Court opening, Mike Lee should absolutely be in there. But caveat to saying I'm not as libertarian as much as I used to be. I definitely have my libertarian streaks, but I also understand when libertarianism is bullshit. Nate G, with Newsom signing fraud into law and the new fraud we've discovered in Minnesota and now in newer states, is this fraud epidemic or debt epidemic? I think it's a combination of both, Nate. I think that the fraud is going to be found, and I mean, it's even him signing fraud into law. That's not going to make a difference when the federal investigators get in there, because if they're federal law, it supersedes with supremacy clause over the state laws, right? And we can hold governors and state houses account for attempting to do things illegally. I think it's a combination of things. But all right, let's get to this. C3 says, again, just so we're clear, illegals are voting, illegals are stealing billions, illegals are receiving benefits, illegals are committing crimes, illegals are influencing House seat counts, illegals are changing electoral college numbers. Claiming they're not is a lie. Facts. So this is where Mike Lee says that's why we need the SAFE Act. And then Melanie Diarigo, who is the executive director of NYH, New York Health's campaign, VP Legis, New York National Organization for Women, LGBTQ nonprofit co-founder, and she obviously sees blue sky threads, everything. So the usual suspects, okay? She says the SAVE Act will prevent up to 69 million women from voting. This has been a big talking point here, guys. I've seen this floated by leftists and leftist women everywhere online since the SAVE Act was brought up. Because women who changed their name after marriage would not have a birth certificate with their legal name on it, Republicans don't want women voting because women traditionally vote Democrat. And this is the big hang-up, that they said that if your name does not match your name on your birth certificate, you cannot vote under the SAVE Act. They want you to be retarded, guys. And there's so many retards on the left that believe this. They want you to be retarded. So Mike Lee responds, false. The SAVE Act provides multiple ways to prove citizenship and identity, as millions of married women do every single day for a host of reasons. It shows how desperate Democrats are to keep elections vulnerable and fraudulent voting, so that they resort to such lies. And this is so easily provable, because the bottom line is, when you get married, most of the time you legally change your last name. Therefore, if you legally change your last name, that now becomes who you are. Hence, you are a provable citizen, because you also have proof of what your maiden name was. Because on that change of certificate, when you are going into the marriage certificate, you are providing your maiden name. So you have proof that your maiden name on your birth certificate was who you were before entering into a marriage. So this fear mongering about women not being able to vote is one of the most retarded things. And I will say, if you believe Melanie Diarigo, you probably shouldn't vote. You're not smart enough. You're an idiot. If you truly believe that, if your reading comprehension is that low, you're a moron. You probably shouldn't vote. Nate G saying Minnesota is the 22nd most populated state. What's the total billion in a daycare fraud? What's the total billion in daycare fraud? It's got to be insane. Caveat saying women shouldn't vote anyway. Nate saying, now do the math with California, New York, Illinois. Now extrapolate that into every welfare fraud possible. Honestly, Nate, we're probably looking into the trillions. I think it's safe to say we'd be looking into the trillions in fraud. And I think it's going to come from all sides. And I think we need to be honest. And I think we need to go after everyone. But here's the thing, though. With that, a lot of people are going to disappear. A lot of people are going to die. Because you don't fuck with people's money, guys. I think that, Nick Shirley is playing a dangerous game. Because you don't mess with people's money. Now, I love what he did. And I honestly fear for Nick's safety. I really do. because Nick has put himself in very much harm's way with what he's doing. It's amazing. But as more and more people do it, and we're seeing more people going around and trying to find this fraud and exposing it, and that's great. But man, it's bad. Nate saying, have our debt in bullshit war on terror, have our debt in bullshit welfare. Listen, yes. And listen, the most part that we fucked up the war on terror is we didn't make money in the military industrial complex as much as we should have. Because typically, when you go to war, it's because you want to mass up production and you want to get your economy flowing. We didn't even do that. Nate saying all our debt is bullshit. Typically is, Nate. And that's honestly how it is, especially when you have corruption. You have politicians who are more corrupt than anything. They want to line their own pockets. But all right, on that note, I'm out of here. It was fun tonight. I was happy to be back. I knew it's been a few days since I've been back, but I've been working on things. Progress is going to be made. Like I said, there's going to be some new things coming along. There might have to be some shifts that I'll be asking anyone that watches to make. And I'm hoping that that will be for the better, but I'm hoping that anyone that's with me on this channel follows me if I leave. So, well, not leave. I'm not leaving YouTube, but possibly migrating to a new channel. So there we go. Caveat ties. That's why Jeffrey Epstein, quote, unalived himself. Yeah. He unalived himself. Nate saying, if we wanted to war our economy, why not build ships to sink ourselves? Maybe. But anyway, so yes, I'm out of here. I appreciate everyone that watched. Writing your book. No, not writing my book. Working on some other things. The book is part of it. Now, caveat, interestingly enough, like the author I am, and you'll understand this, I actually thought of another really good book idea that I'm like pouring a whole bunch of my ideas into. So you know the vibe where you have 17,000 books, except the difference is you actually get yours done, which I give you so much credit for, because I have so many book ideas and some that are really good. And this one I think could be really good, and I might actually focus on trying to get this one done before others, but doing some other things. I think about watching this on Rumble, then I'd miss Nate. I get it. But here, Rumble is the outlet where if you ever see me disappear, if you see the channel or like wherever I'm at disappear from that, then, go on to Rumble, because that's where I'll be, Rumble and Kick and things like that, because we might be too spicy here. But yes, I'm out of here. Appreciate wherever you watch from. Make sure you smash the like button. YouTube X, Facebook, Kick, Rumble, all that type of stuff. And make sure you follow us wherever you are as well. I appreciate you all. Nate and Rollin, as always, you guys are always awesome for hanging out. I'll probably be back tomorrow night with another Hangout stream. I will talk to everybody later. So long, y'all.